we're here as humans playing hide and seek with ourselves. So there's this vast consciousness that is who we truly are. And I think more and more that is popping in.
And as Jules mentions, the collapsing of society is happening, but underneath, not quite so visible, is this rapid acceleration of consciousness that's happening all over the planet.
What would a human society look like through the experience of compassion, as you said, one of the most important qualities to develop right now?
Well, I think we can all imagine what it would look like. It's how do we get there? That's the real question. If we can look at our own lives and look at the struggles that we've gone through and the difficult challenges that we've lived through,
Prageet Harris and Julieanne, Conard, welcome on Just Happen. What are you both most excited about right now, globally and in your life?
In my life, I'm most excited about being in love on like all levels. Like I have a partner I'm in love with, I have work I'm in love with, I have this expansion of consciousness that I'm totally in love with. And collectively, I'm kind of excited to see how the next 10 years play out. Because it feels very much like the energies that are coming in are lighting up our consciousness more than ever. The chaos in the world is ramping up. That's kind of like excited in a nervous way. And we have so much potential. AI is like a little infant baby who we're teaching it like what we want it to become, and things that will later be cemented in our societies as this tech develops are now malleable and fluid. So it's time to show up and vote for what we want to see in the world.
Yeah, and for me, I'm super excited about the way that the Stargate Experience has been really rapidly accelerating, with a couple of new guides that have been taking people on amazing experiences. So the acceleration of all things is what's really exciting me. And as Jules mentions, the collapsing of society is happening, but underneath, not quite so visible, is this rapid acceleration of consciousness that's happening all over the planet. We travel to many different countries and we just feel the people there are so ready, and so much open-heartedness is happening now. So it's a great time, really great time.
And really, to begin, I would like to ask you both, what do you feel would be the most important thing to know for us to remember why we chose to be here at this time? Jules, you mentioned the next 10 years from now to 2036. Why now, and what can we remember about what we are here to do together?
Well, biochemist, genius friend of ours, Ian Mitchell, recently said, like, we're here as humans playing hide and seek with ourselves. So there's this vast consciousness that is who we truly are. And I think more and more that is popping in. And so the thing to remember as we move through and navigate these times, I think, is like, remember to reset. Remember to realign. Remember to go beyond who you think you are, because there's so much support for us to shed the old and embrace the new.
Yeah, I think it's incredible times. And Alcazar's said many times that we chose to be here. We've lived elsewhere before we came into the human body, like hundreds or maybe even as many as thousands of lifetimes ago. We lived in other planetary situations where they'd already reached enlightenment. Humanity is behind in that experience, but we're moving towards a consciousness of enlightenment for the whole planet. And so we came here, we chose to be here, and we agreed to forget where we came from. And that over these centuries, we've been mixing and merging our DNA from all these different planetary civilizations, creating something very new. And at the beginning of this experience experiment, as he calls it, there was a shroud placed around the Earth so that we were virtually invisible to the rest of the universe. And that shroud became much stronger as we dropped into unconsciousness. But now it's dissolving. As consciousness is rising, and as the Earth and humanity are ready to become part of the universe again, in a sense, now is the time for all of us who chose to be here, who've specifically chosen to be in the body at this time of change. It's time to celebrate that and call forth that inner knowing that allows us to really open and fulfill what we're here for this time around.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. When we connected a few weeks ago, you guys had both just returned from a retreat in the Azores, where ancient Atlantis, it was prophesized to be. But also you were telling me that you were joined energetically by humans from an Earth-like planet on the far end of the other spiral arm of the Milky Way. And they've traveled here to assist us in the awakening. And you were telling me before the call that these were humans that didn't go through the downfall of consciousness. So I'm wondering, what are we learning from them? And also vice versa, what are they learning from us, which is also an important mirror for them? I would assume so.
Yes, absolutely. And our guide Alcazar talked about this exchange that actually occurred when they brought their energy into the workshop. So just to give context, like when we work with the Stargate, we light up an energy field, and in that field, your consciousness expands. And so people have actual energy experiences with these guides. We're not just talking about them. So it's like a space where the downloads are direct. And so people had profound experiences.
Yeah, we work with the Galactic Command, and over the years, they've been developing this technique of creating a column of light that comes down over each individual. And when you're inside that cocoon, as they like to call it, the energies that you experience are purely your own. Nothing from outside comes into the cocoon. And so the Galactic Command put people in their own individual cocoons, and then individuals from this other human planet chose particular participants. So they came very slowly down that column of light and gently connected. And then if the individual was open, they actually started to merge their energies. And the overall experience from people as they responded was they felt an incredible love, because this other human planet has reached enlightenment. And so they're very conscious. And so their consciousness vibrated each one of us in that experience. And many people started to actually interact and have conversations with the person that visited them. Mm-hmm. And when they left, they could feel that their vibration had changed. And we did this a couple of times actually in the Azores. And another time, 2 beings came in. And that was another very different experience and another way of feeling the difference between the individuals.
So,
yeah,
go ahead.
We're both excited about this.
I am too.
Well, later on in the workshop, Alcazar was talking about abundance. And when he talks about abundance, he talks about abundance on all levels. He said we need to disconnect abundance with just money. It's abundance of love, abundance of friendship, abundance of freedom, and so on. So it's a total abundance in your lives. And yes, Money is part of that, but it's not the main driver. And so he was talking about abundance. And then I got the message, these humans would like to come in and share their experience of abundance. And so the same thing happened. Cocoon was created, they came down and they vibed their experience of abundance. And that was very beautiful, very powerful.
Okay, so people had really cool experiences, and one that I just like feel so called to share is this woman who was kind of estranged from her children had the experience of these ascended humans showing her that in their planetary society, they gave her this image of like a child sitting on like a honeycomb. And they're saying like the children here are like raised by the whole. And that's why they're so healthy. And like that really stuck with me because it's like, you can kind of start to feel the transmission of like a different type of human society through that. And there was another one. I had a personal session with someone 2 nights ago, and she was on the live stream, and she told me that like the ascended human that came to her, she has this some kind of connection with, and it's like multi-orgasmic. And I was like, that is so cool. And then Alcazar, our guy,
sign me up.
was like, right? And Alcazar came in, well, he was like chatting with her, and he said like, you know each other from the mystery schools of Isis, because Isis is not just on this earth. Like there's temple upon temple upon temple out there in the multidimensional realms. It was like, cool.
Wow. Yeah, and Prageet, you mentioned there the commander, the Galactic Command, and I learned through you guys that one of their roles is to record or keep a true record of human history. So I'm curious to know if they've revealed in any point why this iteration of humanity had to go through that downfall of consciousness, whereas other civilizations like the ones that we're talking about didn't have to go through that. What was the deeper layer and purpose in that?
Well, I'm not sure whether we had to go through it. This was a planet of free will, and that was part of the experiment, as Alcazar calls it. What would we do given total free will? And if the way that he's explained it in the past was that if you've just come from an enlightened society where everything is in the flow, decisions arise. You don't make a mental decision as we do so often here. He said, when you come here into this environment and you in a choice point, and in the past you would have just literally flowed with the highest. So you were interested, well, what would it be like if I make a different choice and choose something that's not in the highest? And when you do that, your energy drops just a tiny bit. And then another choice point, you choose to experience what's it like different, and you drop again. And then in the end, humanity went down and down and down in consciousness and created all the incredible strife and pain and suffering that we're aware of throughout history. And then humanity as a whole came to a point of saying, enough. We don't want to live like this. We want to live in love and peace and harmony and abundance. And that's when consciousness started to rise again. So we're on the verge now of coming back and becoming an enlightened society. And then humanity has a great gift to share with the rest of the universe. So...
And also, for whatever reason, there was a reset needed after Atlantis at a certain point. And Alcazar says that was meant to be. So part of the reason we actually went down so deeply into unconsciousness was to forget who we are. Because what Alcazar has said, our guide, is if we just remembered our star family, for example, like we are all like the living library, as the Pleiadians have said. So like it's in our DNA, and we've lived elsewhere before we became human. So we're like a vault of wisdom from the stars, from other societies. And what Alcazar said is if we had simply remembered that, we would have recreated the old. So instead, what's happening on planet Earth and why it's so unique in the universe, according to our guide, is that we put on the same bodysuit, we agree to forget who we are, and we mix and we merge. And now, as we re-emerge into higher consciousness again and we re-remember, we create something totally new.
And also, all is not rosing out in the universe. There's conflicts happening out there too, have been for eons. And my feeling is that what humanity is going to share as we evolve and move back up into the higher frequencies, we are going to be able to share conflict resolution. And one of the biggest energies that humanity has been developing is compassion. And that's something which is going to get much stronger on the planet. And that compassion energy, which is love and wisdom combined, when we share that, it's an opportunity for bringing a whole new level of togetherness in the universe. And that sounds like a really big job, but I think we've been working on it for many centuries.
Yeah, and compassion is such a beautiful word. However, what is it actually like to step into that energy and live through compassion? Because we're seeing in the world around us, as you guys mentioned, and I wouldn't be able to say that a lot of our government systems, a lot of institutions are acting through that energy. What would a human society look like through the experience of compassion? As you said, one of the most important qualities to develop right now.
Well, I think we can all imagine what it would look like. It's how do we get there? That's the real question. And if we can look at our own lives and look at the struggles that we've gone through and the difficult challenges that we've lived through, and we would like people to be aware that we are how we are because of those challenges. So those experiences might have led us to a place of feeling love and compassionate, or it's led us to a place of being in absolute fear, feeling totally alone, grasping for something to help us feel alive, real, and safe. And so many people have grasped for money and power and domination over others in order to feel safe.
Or like a gunslinging identity here in America, right? Like there's all kinds of extremes right now. The way I see it, Emilio, like my hope and my prayer, because what's happening in this country is so wackadoodle. My hope is that it's a bit like those Hot Wheels toys where like you pull them back to get the momentum and then they would shoot forward. And so that's what I see happening here is the way that our social security networks are getting just cut. Like all of our like safety nets are getting cut. And I think that it's going to create actually an upwelling of people realizing what really matters and wanting the system to start taking care of everyone. And that's my hope.
And what Alcazar has said is that all this apparent struggle that's happening out in the world, it's turning more and more people towards meditation and to have that feeling, that emotional feeling, I don't want to live like this anymore. And when people reach that vibration, because ultimately everything is vibration, when they start to vibrate, I don't want this anymore, they start focusing on wanting peace, wanting community. And that very emotional vibration is what's accelerating human consciousness actually rising. And so the strife in the world is turning people's consciousness into more positive desires, generally.
I mean, it's a bit like hitting rock bottom before you get your act together, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, and when we tune into the question, what really matters, I feel that every individual is going to have a different response. We're going to have 8 billion different responses. But looking at it from a wider perspective of the evolution of humanity, which your guide Alcazar is really focused on, if they were to answer that question, what really matters for humanity, what do you feel would come through?
Abundance on all levels for all of us.
And beloved one, we greet thee, 'tis Alcazar. So perhaps we can answer that question for you. As has already been mentioned, humanity will be a great gift to the universe. This is perhaps the main focus of the assistance that's been given to humanity for so long. We have been with you from the very beginning of humanity's experience here on the earth, watching, observing, assisting when you as humans have asked for our assistance. And so, beloved one, these times of change right now are critical. And we ask each and every individual who may hear these words to know deep inside that now is the time to step into your own knowingness, to listen to the voice of your intuition. For your intuition is not, as you have been told, your intuition is not the mind making something up. Intuition is the voice of your superconscious self or your soul, wanting to guide you moment by moment. So your intuition, whether you hear it as a voice or as a feeling or simply as a gut sensation, you simply know in that moment what to do, what to say, where to go, what to hold back on. For your intuition is aware not just of you and the situation that you are in the moment. Your intuition is aware of the totality of all that is. And so your intuition will sometimes guide you in a way that the mind challenges. Is that right? Should I do this? Let us give you a quick example. You are driving home and your intuition says, don't go directly, make a left turn. And because you follow your intuition, you do that. And you go a roundabout way to get home. Then you arrive at home and the mind says, well, look, you followed your intuition. What did it do? It just took an extra 10 minutes to get home. But what you are not aware of is that had you continued on your original route, you would have hit a little child running out into the street. And so by following your intuition, you prevented something from happening that you're not totally aware of. So we say, trust the intuition. It will bring you to a more rapid awakening process. So thank you for letting us share this.
And to dig a little deeper into your question, what truly matters? As this one has said, there is the potential for this your earth to be resplendent with a level of love and care that you have not seen yet. Even in your times of Atlantis, your Lemuria, absolutely. There was a lush, natural environment that was supporting every individual there. And your Lemuria, as you may know, is now your islands of Hawaii, the mountaintops of what was once a vast continent. This is why so many are drawn to the Hawaiian Islands. There is still this feeling of being taken care of being able to relax, to be in oneness. And we have said that on your island of Maui, there is the potential for true oneness to be felt by humanity as a collective for the very first time. So you are sitting here at this point in your history. You cannot see your future, for it has not happened yet. It is a series of potentials. You cannot truly see your past clearly because you have such a short lifetime. But in this moment of time, you are receiving influx after influx after influx. Energies from the beyond are coming in to support humanity as a whole, elevating your vibration. And as you elevate your vibration, there is the potential for you and others like you to start to become viscerally connected to the oneness of all things. And it is this impulse to honor life that will truly change your earth and create, as this one said, the move towards abundance, abundance of clean water, fresh air, taking care of your environment, taking care of your people, and perhaps most importantly, getting off the treadmill of having to earn and work so hard in order to survive. And so we invite all of you hearing these words to hold the vision for these new technologies to actually free humanity. Because as you might sense, there is an agenda pulling you towards a further enslavement. But we would suggest this will not be the case. But in order for these technologies to be used for the benefit, for the good of the all, you must claim it. So start to use them to empower yourself.
Beautiful. I love that. And you can just feel the energy coming through. Alcazar and they, as a collective, made their first contact in 1988 through Prageet. A year before Jules was actually even born. So, and within that first year of connecting with that energy, Alcazar instructed you, Prageet, to construct a geometrical structure that would anchor in higher consciousness, which we're seeing, behind you.
Yeah.
I'm really curious because when I tune into that structure, something very ancient emerges within me, and I feel there's some ancient or even galactic energy behind it. What have you tuned into through the years of working with it? What have you guys realized about what this structure, its true nature is?
Well, it comes in many sizes. The first one I built was 10.5 feet high. And what Alcazar said was that it's an anchor for a higher dimension consciousness. And back then when I made it, I didn't really accept that. How can a consciousness be in a geometric structure? And what he said was that we need to be aware that consciousness takes many forms, and there is a dimensional place where consciousness is simply geometrics. And so that kind of blew my mind. And he said, you're already aware that sacred geometry holds an energy. And most people are familiar with the pyramid structure, which has a very tangible energetic. Well, the Stargate has many different geometries in it. And Alcazar said that some of these geometries connect it very easily to other dimensional realities. So when we work with it and we activate it, we're asking that consciousness to work with us. And then we vibrate the energy field with Alcazar and this Stargate consciousness, and the field around us starts to vibrate faster and faster. And we actually take it up to the 12th dimension. And as people relax in meditation, as they simply relax, as we take the frequencies higher, when you reach the 12th dimension, after a few moments, your energy is vibrating at that level. And you become far more conscious and aware of the presence of these benevolent beings. And so we always introduce the angelic realm first, simply because humanity has been aware of the angels in many different religions. And so people can accept that connection.
Yeah.
And so when we invite them in, people can feel the energy changing around them.
And you can feel it because these higher dimensional beings are actually vibrating your energy field. And so as you're having this experience, there's actually a deep kind of multidimensional energy activation that's happening. Our guide Alcazar says that our human energy field is actually created from every cell of our body. The DNA inside has this spark of spirit, the spark of the creator, and it actually extends beyond the cell wall. And so he calls this our energy presence. And so the whole of the Stargate work, the whole point is actually this reactivation of our higher dimensional DNA.
Or
which,
a realignment.
Yeah, which holds the archive of who we truly are, our skills and abilities in higher dimensions. And Emilio, I love your question. And I love that you sense that it's ancient, because this is actually an ancient technology. And we've all heard of stargates. Like, there's natural stargates on the planet as well. And these are places that vibrate with a higher energy that make it easier to connect.
But also, when we first started to work together, this was, what was that, 2012?
Yeah.
On Maui, when Jules came to visit and help me with some of the work, he sat down with us, I think it was in a restaurant, and told us that we'd done this work together before. And that
on other planets.
On other planets, yeah.
You guys go way back. You guys go way
back. It's true.
And so when you feel like it's ancient, you're absolutely correct. And he said the Stargate consciousness and structures are brought to a civilization when they are about ready for this rapid awakening that's happening right now. So neither of us as yet remember working on other planets, because I think our focus has to be here, not in awe of what's happened in the past. But it is an ancient structure, it is a consciousness, and it's a great delight to be working with it.
I think as we remember our past, there's a lot of processing that actually has to happen. Like, I had a little glimmer of remembering Lyra once, and I was like, whoa, because somebody was talking about the wars that were happening and Lyra's part in them, and I was like, oh, whoa. And I had this like bleed through, like no details, but like an emotional bleed through, and I was like, okay. So maybe this is another part of why we're not remembering yet. Like, we got to be ready to shake it off and grow beyond it. And it might be a distraction at this point.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Hello, beautiful family. Quick one today. I just wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you that have subscribed to this channel. Your subscription means more than you know. Even though it's free, what you're doing is you're empowering a whole channel to be able to do this every single day and continue showing up in the way that we can with all of our resources on hand. Thank you for contributing to the growth of this channel, for sharing it with the people that you love, for creating a conscious movement of individuals that are seeking the sovereignty and the divinity of their soul. This is why we're here. And if you haven't already and you're enjoying this content, I invite you now to look below on that little button that says subscribe and welcome you properly to this community. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being who you are and being pure love and radiating that with everyone that you see. Back to the episode. Yeah, I'm feeling into this would be a really great moment to bring in the Galactic Command, because they have said before that they've contacted various governments offering these technologies with certain provisions, and we haven't taken them. We haven't taken them up on that. So I'd love to open the space for that, to understand deeper what humanity has to move into to allow this influx of new technologies and new ways of living to inhabit our planet.
And so, beloved one, we will invite the one whom we call the Commander, who works in conjunction with so many star families and so many craft that are around your Earth right now, and even in your very atmosphere. In a higher vibration, they cannot be physically seen unless we lower our vibration and make ourselves visible to certain individuals. So Alxar steps aside and the Commander will come and speak to this issue. The Commander speaks, and I greet you on behalf of the Galactic Command. We are here to assist humanity in its awakening. We are here to assist, not to control. We respond to your asking. That is our function. We have been watching over you since the very beginning of human consciousness on the planet. We are here in service. We are here in deep love. And we too can resonate with that which you call excitement about the rapid progress humanity is making. You are moving into higher consciousness much faster than was expected. And it is beautiful to see this. So, do you have a question now directly for us?
Yes, I would love to learn a little bit more about your contacting in various institutions, governmental institutions, offering them new ways to evolve our species and progress the evolution of consciousness. And what has been that response up to now? And what other ways have you found to help humanity in other ways?
We thank you for your question. As we have said, we respond to your asking. That involves all your government agencies also. And so if only one individual asks, we can respond. And so, as you have said, we have approached many governments here on your Earth, simply because individuals within them have asked. And we have said, we can share technologies with you, technologies to support the elevating of life here on the planet for everyone. And so we have said to them, we can provide these technologies and these methods of farming, methods of purifying water, methods of regenerating your planet on so many different levels. And we have simply said, for us to do this, we need that you stop the fighting, the wars. We need you to take care of each and every person in your country. No more homeless, no more hungry. Equal opportunities for all. If you are willing to do this, we can support you in your endeavors. And without exception, every government has said no, we cannot. They are still functioning out of fear. They are thinking, well, if we stop fighting, we will be overrun by other armies. If we share equally, then those in power right now, those of wealth, the 1%, as it is often called, they will be outraged and they will use their wealth and power to prevent us. And so, beloved one, yes, indeed, we have approached so many governments in so many countries. It is a sad state, but even this will be changing soon. For new politicians, younger politicians, more awake politicians are slowly coming into your global governments. So there is beautiful hope. All will be well, even though the old societies need to break down. New societies are already being experimented with. So we thank you for your question.
Thank you.
If there is another question, we will attempt to answer. Otherwise, we will simply remove ourselves from this conversation.
Yes, I would simply just like to ask, what would it take for us as a collective to move beyond the paradigm of war, of poverty, of hunger, homelessness, all the things that you mentioned that maybe our governments couldn't tackle, but how could we start tackling them as individuals?
It is important to understand that you are all connected. You may not feel it, most people do not, but there is a morphic field that connects all of humanity. As you individually become more conscious, you raise the consciousness of the morphic field. Yes, you as an individual are but a drop in the ocean. But what is occurring on your planet is that there are a multitude of drops raising their consciousness. And, beloved one, as the consciousness of the morphic field elevates, even those of very heavy lower vibration, their energies are started to be pulled up into a higher consciousness. So even those who have been in power, those who have been controlling, new generations of those families are coming with a higher consciousness. They are being uplifted. And already, new generations of those powerful 1% are beginning to see the benefit of equality. It is coming. It might seem as if it is impossible. But how can you individually help? Work on your own consciousness. Bring in more energies of compassion, understanding. Stop your judgment. Understand this. Judgment is a lower vibration. You have all been taught to judge. Why? Because in that way, your energies are kept down. Your judgment lowers your frequency. Start being compassionate. understanding that people are working in the way they are working simply because of the conditioning they have received, just as you have received conditioning. With compassion and non-judgment, your vibration will rise. You will be accelerating the morphic field, moving higher and higher. So we say, if you want to change your world, elevate your own consciousness. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And so we will depart. It is a great honor for us to have these moments with you. Greetings from the beyond.
Thank you. All the love. Jules, any insights from that?
Just a lot of energy pumping through. Yeah. The commander speaks to Prageet. I also have an aspect of my higher self. In the Galactic Command, Alcazar calls him the lone pilot. And he tends not to want to come here because humanity is very dense. And apparently he needs to work on his non-judgment because he's just like, nope. But the interesting thing is, like, when Prageet channels, I often feel a lot of energy coming through. When the words are coming through one of us, the other one will be pumping energy, typically. And it can switch and role reverse. But just now, I was getting blasted. It was really beautiful. And yeah.
I love that. And you've both mentioned these different aspects of ourselves and of yourselves. And that's one of the teachings that Alcazar has been bringing through, which is that every soul has the ability to subdivide into different aspects. I heard the number 12. I'm not sure if that's accurate. But what is this process of, or the purpose of splitting ourselves into different aspects for maybe the oversoul, we would call it? Why would it need to divide itself into those different experiences?
Just for the fun of it. It's like, if you can imagine that your soul is such a vast consciousness, and it's always wanting to experience, learn more, just as spirit or God ultimately is breaking itself down into more and more different aspects. And on the lowest level, here we are as part of God also. And so the higher up you go the chain, so to speak, the higher the consciousness and the greater ability to perceive in many different ways. And so by subdividing into 12 different parts, there are 12 simultaneous aspects living in other realities. And so the soul is pulsing with all this information and experiencing. And one of the things that's going to happen for us as humanity is that slowly, we're going to be able to contact those other aspects of self. Alcazar has said that in the past that the other aspects are aware of us, the human part. But because we are disconnected, we're not aware of those other aspects of self. And in order to demonstrate that, Alcazar said that the commander is one of my aspects.
Well, actually, it's even cooler than that. I had like a dimensional bleed through after my very first Stargate evening, which to me gave like a sense of reality to this idea, where like essentially my consciousness was just like hovering with that lone pilot, and he was being called back. Like the whole Galactic Command was like having this massive meeting for some reason. And I was like floating like an orb of consciousness, and everything that he felt and every thought he had, I had access to. And he was like walking down this hall to like a big amphitheater like room, and there's like a circular stage Pretty sure this guy was on it. But Prageet, like when he first started channeling, he wouldn't talk about star families because he's living on Maui. It's a small island. Channeling's weird enough. He's like, if you want me to talk about this, prove to me that it's real. And then what happened is really cool. Do you want to tell that story?
What happened?
Oh. Where Alcazar proved to you that the star families were real when you were on Maui.
I can't remember that.
Oh, you got taken up, sir.
Oh, okay.
He's not sure what
Well,
to
you're
say.
talking about,
He went up to a ship,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah,
Yes, there you
exactly.
go.
Yeah. It was, I mean, that was just incredible. But yeah, I got taken up. Somebody took me up there and I experienced being there on the ship and meeting a whole bunch of people. But also, what was really amazing was I met this other aspect of myself, the commander. And as we were walking along a corridor, we actually merged into one. And I knew everything about the ship that we were on. It was quite an amazing experience. So, yes, I know this is a fact for real now.
Yeah.
And I trust the other, well, there's another one, another aspect is in the dragon realm. And I have an aspect by the name of Ran. And
I've heard him.
Well, the interesting thing was that I've been having this sinus trouble
Yeah.
for quite a long time. And we went to see our friend Ian, who's an amazing, what did you call him?
He's a biochemist and a biophysicist, but he's also like spiritually
He's
pretty
very,
awake.
very connected. So anyway, I went and he does this stem cell treatment. And he was putting this laser on my nasal area because that's what I asked him to work on. And he said, well, this is interesting. While he was shining this laser, he was saying, I see this kind of what he called a snout in your energetic field. And Jules and the other person with us, they just laughed. They said, the dragon. And apparently the energetic of Ran, the dragon, has actually changed my energetic field around here. And it's giving me a bit of a problem with my sinuses. So,
Yeah, it's interesting for sure.
so I'm not quite sure how to resolve that. But anyway, that's a work in progress.
Next lifetime. I'm curious to know what happens when all aspects of ourselves merge together.
Ask me in the next lifetime. I'll tell you.
I mean, that's a really interesting question because, as Prageet said, Alcazar says that, like, okay, our humanness is one of 12. And we're the only one that's not aware of the others.
But that's changing.
And that's changing. But what you're asking is essentially, like, what I've heard Cryon say is, like, there will come a moment when all of the differentiation and all of the exploration and the fractal evolution of consciousness in this universe retracts back into the one. And I think that may be the Big Bang. Like, that's when, like, we're complete with this cycle and, like, the next one starts. But before the next one starts, there's that moment where we are all actually back to undifferentiated source.
And our friend Marilyn, who channels Zazar.
We have to give a shout out to her because Zazar is a 6th dimensional Pleiadian elven being. At that level, they get to choose their DNA, and he looks a bit like from the Avatar movies. And he's like a trickster genius who's been connecting us up with all kinds of multidimensional things, including those ascended humans we've been talking about.
Yeah, so I've forgotten where I was going to go with that now.
Sorry.
That's all right. Oh, well, it'll come back if it needs to.
Yeah. Alcazar has also talked about the super conscious self. What is that in their perspective?
Well, it's that one aspect of the soul that's the human line that's been on this planet for a very long time. And it's the consciousness, that 1/12 consciousness, which is just here for the humanness. So the state of enlightenment is basically what happens as we raise our consciousness, our vibration, more and more of the superconscious, which is the real you, the more and more of the superconscious comes into the body, until that point where you reach enlightenment, when it's virtually all in the body. And for those people that have been in the presence of an enlightened person, you know the energy, the vibration is so intense and so loving and so beautiful. And that's where we're all going. And so the superconscious is really that true self. When you drop the body and move into another body, it's the same superconscious. It simply totally withdraws from the body and you die. But the awareness of being beyond the body, you're totally aware. And there's so many people that have had near-death experiences and saying how beautiful and wonderful it is and meeting everybody else. That's our natural state. That's who you are. And as you raise your consciousness and more of this comes in, you become aware of all those dimensions all the time. And so this is why the expansion of the consciousness is so important and so delightful, because as you meet more and more parts of yourself, life becomes really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Prageet was mentioning how he inherited his sinus issues from the dragon, but I'm also curious, what gifts and talents have you both connected to from the other aspects of yourself, and you've brought them into the human aspect?
Well, when I was 23 and I had just started with Stargate and I actually just started working with Prageet, we did a workshop in Shasta, a 4-day. And the day after, I was out to breakfast with our friends, and I suddenly had this like total knowingness that I could connect to unicorn energy. I was like, oh, I totally have access to this. Like, you know, like the purity and like the way that I was like, I can feel unicorn energy. And so I was like, turned to my friend and I'm like, can you feel this? And I like brought it through and she was like, wow, yeah, I can feel that. And these sounds wanted to come with it. So there's like these melodies that carry the frequency of the unicorns. And I just like very happily allow this thing to happen. Alcazar asked me to do it for the first time with a workshop on Maui a few weeks later. And afterward, they were like, go celebrate, do an infrared sauna. So we're in this sauna at Haleakua Garden Farm. And that's like a historical sauna for me because it's also where I first started channeling like a few months earlier in 2012. And so we sat there and like face to face with Prageet, and suddenly Prageet's inner vision turned on and he could see the unicorns. Like he saw 3 of them like grazing in a forest glade behind me, which is actually very interesting. So
the backdrop is part of the story.
Right? Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, all right.
Paid actor.
Right. So like one of the 3 is like going like this on the ground, and he's like, I think they want to speak. And so I was like, I tune in, and the message is, we're allowing you to see us as a thank you for what you're doing for Julieanne. And it was really sweet. And then what happened is, like, unbeknownst to me, one of the unicorns merged in and like walked in and like looked at Prageet through me.
It was very amazing because I'd had this vision of these 3 unicorns, and then one of them, the male, just kind of came in like this. Whoops.
And I didn't know this was happening, but like he told me that my body shifted like when it happened. So it's like we call that a multidimensional overlay. And when he told me that was happening, like I could feel that really strongly. So there's this energy and information exchange that we can pull in. And of course, there's going to be varying degrees, like Prageet going out of body to the spacecraft and witnessing that reality from that perspective allowed him to merge, as he said, with his aspect in the Galactic Command and be actually answering questions about the spacecraft that he's on. So that's going to be a very different level of entanglement than what I experienced here in the body, just like kind of merging in that way. So there's different layers. But to me, that's one of the gifts that I've connected with. And it's a funny gift because, like, you know, I channel unicorns. And and it was on my bio, and my oldest brother found out. He's like, Jules is channeling unicorns. Like, and my other brother was like, you know what? She's happier and healthier than I've ever seen her, so I don't want to hear about it.
It's definitely an icebreaker.
Yeah.
And there's this one, I don't know if you're familiar with Pokemon, but there's like the Jigglypuff. And you know, like Jigglypuff has a power, and it's like, it sings a Jigglypuff song, and it puts people to sleep. They're like, so the unicorns are a bit like that, except they put people into silence.
Oh, well, deep peace. There's a deep inner peace happens.
Yeah. Wow, beautiful. Because toward the end of the conversation, we were talking about doing a short meditation. And if you feel called to bring through that unicorn energy, we'd be super open to it. But before, there's still a little bit more I want to dig into, because this is fascinating. And you're talking about how with the Stargate technology, you bring people through different realms in the beginning, and the angelic realm is sort of the first one you take people to, because it's the one that we're most comfortable to, with. And I'd love to know, what are some of the other realms that humanity's starting to get more accustomed to and comfortable in that energy that you've seen in the events that people connect with really fast?
Well, we connect people to the ascended masters. That's usually the next level that we take people to. People that have been in the human body, Jesus, Buddha, so many different masters from the past. Kuan Yin is another one that comes a lot with the compassion. And then we'll take people up into the star families, introducing them to the vibration of some of these families, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Sirians, and so on. And the reason we do that is we bring all these different flavors, if you like, of enlightenment. And in the meditation, we're surrounded by the vibration of enlightenment, of oneness, 0 point, however you want to call that. And as people relax into it, it starts to realign their energetics, if they allow it. If their intention is to simply receive, then that realignment towards the perfect blueprint happens. And it's very staggering sometimes, because physical change can happen in moments, but also emotional experiences from the past dissolving, mental stuff, stress, old belief systems can simply be dissolved by that vibration. And we can't predict what's going to happen, because it's always an individual experience. The energies are brought in, and how much we relax and allow is how much change is there as a potential. And it's always amazing afterwards to hear people's feedback about what they experience. Like Jules said, this woman in the last workshop, her instantly, she could use her hand again. But we've had some staggering things. A blind lady in Germany got her sight back in a couple of hours.
That was before my time.
Alcazar
told this woman, when you're ready, you can see again. And the lady was livid with Prageet.
She got really angry. You can't say that. You're meant to be a spiritual being. The doctors have said I'll never see again. And she really was quite angry and stomped away. And Alcazar just said to her as she walked away, who do you choose to believe? And then the next day she came back and she said, I choose to believe I can see again. And so he told her, go lie down in the Stargate. It was a lunchtime in the middle of a workshop. And he said, stay there. When we come back, we'll do a meditation. which we did with the whole group, nothing to do with her. We just did another meditation. And when she opened her eyes after the meditation, she could see again. And then Alcazar said to her, now you can see, I don't know what it was, 94% or something like that. And this is what you need to do to regain the rest of it. So it's really a matter of setting aside all our beliefs and the conditionings that we've been told. People can heal instantly. It's been known all around the world. It happens, spontaneous healing.
Yeah.
And it happens in the workshops sometimes. And like I say, we can't make it happen. The person has to be ready.
It's so unpredictable. Like we've had friends who have, passed away from things like cancer and Parkinson's. So it's just not something that you want to like put all your reliance in. Like you need to take care of yourself on all levels. But like these things do happen, and I've seen them happen through the years. The first healing I witnessed was at a potluck on Maui that was organized by a really cool lady, Wendy Warnick, who's here in Shasta now. And after the first meditation, we were taking comments, and this guy raised his hand, and he said, I haven't been able to smell for the past 6 years, but right now I can smell the bread baking in the oven. And I was like, it was extra meaningful because my mom's dad had actually lost his sense of smell from an aneurysm. So I was like, cool. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you guys see the Stargate technology evolving and how it's going to be maybe more distributed to the mainstream aspects of culture and how people would be using it down the line?
Well, right at the very beginning when I first started, and I was doing little gatherings with 6 or 8 people in my home, Alcazar said, you will be doing this in football stadiums. And I thought, oh, this guy's crazy. But actually, a couple of years ago in Greece, we did a gathering and there were 1,050 people there.
In person,
and another couple of thousand online. And it was like standing on the stage, looking out over all these people. I suddenly thought, okay, Alcazar, maybe you're right. And the funny thing is, we've worked with a couple of other people who've been told exactly the same thing. You'll be working in football stadiums. And so as we've connected with them and these stories have arisen, we realize, yes, this is going to happen. In fact, somebody offered to do that in a football stadium a while ago, but it wasn't. It
wasn't actually real.
It wasn't a reality, but the invitation was a reminder. Yeah. So already there's thousands and thousands of these smaller sized stargates around. And the interesting thing about them is that they all connect like a grid around the planet. And whenever we're working with a stargate, whatever energies are happening, they're happening and radiating from these other stargates. And it creates a whole grid system around the planet. And what's beautiful is when we do online work and we start the process, we say hello, and welcome people from around the world. And then we say, now let's just intend to connect. And when we do that, there's an instant field that's felt, and people can feel it all over the world. It's a quantum connection. It's beyond time and space. And that connection is so beautiful. And so that was a demonstration, in a sense, to the connectivity of the Stargate network. And a beautiful thing is, when we started to connect with Cesar, one of the first things he said to me was, thank you for your work, because you have created this grid around the planet that we can use to bring their energies through. And so it was very touching and a beautiful appreciation of how hard we've worked over the last 30 odd years.
So it kind of depends how far out you want to get, Emilio, because there's this multidimensional quantum field around the world that's growing through our work and many, many, many other spiritual groups. And then Alcazar has also said that eventually the Stargate will be used for teleportation. So if it's true that the Stargate comes to a planet when we're ready to ascend into higher consciousness, potentially there are Stargates on other planets and they're all linked up. So,
well, let's talk about the pyramids, because I've heard from many different sources that they were originally, and still are in many ways, just dormant in many aspects, but stargates to other constellations. There's a reason why the pyramids, the three ones in Giza, are aligned to Orion's belt. So let's go just to go down the rabbit hole there with pyramids.
Into ancient history. So, well, Alcazar has said that not just the pyramids, but also the stone circles. So the Druids were teleporting as well.
Yeah, he says Stonehenge. That was one of the Druids' portals to teleport. And there's an incredible energy there. Even though many of the stones have fallen down and moved position, but there's an energy, and teleportation has been happening in those stone circles with the Druids. And the Druids basically they are descendants, in the sense of Atlantean wisdom, as is Egypt and other locations as well. And so, and South America, many different places that have similar connections with pyramids. And so all this energetic is going to be coming back. There's going to be a reconnection to the grids. The Egyptian pyramid is the primary anchor for those grid systems around the planet, as well as it being a portal and a connection to other stargates. There's going to be an amazing awareness of why the pyramids around the world are positioned as they are. And in fact, I learned a long time ago now that the pyramids on Mars, in southern England, there's a similar multitude structure identical to the layout of the face and the pyramids on Mars, southern England.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of connections there that are going to be revealed as we awaken and start to remember. Well, there's a lot of rabbit holes here, aren't there? Oh yeah,
that's a whole other episode. That's a whole other episode.
Right.
Oh dear.
Well, my energy, at least, is feeling ready for a meditation. If you guys would love to lead us through, of course, if people are driving, maybe save this one for later.
Absolutely.
Anything you'd like to say to us to prepare for that, I'll just be here witnessing and participating in it.
Yes.
So we're working with the consciousness of the Stargate. As we said, this little structure is an anchor for a consciousness. And the size of them is irrelevant. It's the geometry that holds the consciousness. But because it's a consciousness, when you ask for it, it will come to you. In fact, there's a beautiful aside that I'll just drop in. Alcazar suggested to people that they could call for an etheric Stargate, which is the consciousness, and that you could put one in your home. And you just need to connect with it every day so it remains there. And we got this beautiful feedback, actually quite a lot of feedback from people. But one that was very amazing was this woman said that she put this etheric Stargate in her living room. And when she did that, her dog dragged its bed across the living room and put it underneath the etheric Stargate. So dogs and animals are very sensitive to this etheric energy. So we'll be inviting people to call for an etheric Stargate to come down around them. And we'll say, just imagine it or visualize it. But you can just visualize the pyramid, because the consciousness knows what you're asking for. It's important to have your eyes closed throughout the experience, Because when you open your eyes, your mind starts to immediately process what you're seeing. With your eyes closed, that processing ability helps you tune into the feeling, the sensitivity to energy. So it's important to be relaxed, close the eyes, and go inside.
And there's nothing to do. There's no special way to sit or breathe. However, doing the dishes, not recommended. So if you want to go deep, these energies allow you to actually transcend time and connect into subtle energy, even if you're not accustomed to feeling it. So relax, go inside.
We'll make a few suggestions for you to ask for. The first one being just connecting to the energy of the earth. Just asking inside, no need to speak it out loud.
Okay.
So let's begin, and Alcazar will come through Jules and I to guide the process. And so, beloved ones, we are with you once more. And as you have heard, relax, close the eyes, nothing to do. And so we start by asking each one of you to invite the energy of the earth, the consciousness of the earth, Gaia, to bring her energy up into your body, into your energy field.
And so just asking silently within, we are calling for the energies of the earth to come up into our bodies, into our energy fields.
And just allowing for the possibility that the earth can respond. You may not feel the energy yet, that is perfectly okay, for it will get stronger as we move through this meditation. And now we ask each one of you to ask inside for the consciousness of the Stargate, the etheric Stargate, to come down around you. And so just imagine as if you are seated or lying down inside the Stargate or inside a pyramid. Just the asking is all that is needed.
And so we are calling for the presence of an etheric Stargate, the consciousness of the Stargate.
And feel it, sense it, imagine it around you. Imagination helps you to connect to the energetic. And now asking inside for the activation of the Stargate. This is asking for it to work with you directly.
We call for the activation of all the Stargates around the world.
And so what will start to happen is your etheric Stargate will start to radiate a very, very soft, gentle energy around you. And you might even begin to sense it. And now we are going to vibrate all the Stargate grids. So your Stargate, your etheric Stargate, is going to start to vibrate faster and faster. We have done this already, moving you up out of the frequency range of the third dimension, moving through the fourth dimensional energetic, and now all the Stargates are vibrating at the frequency of the fifth dimension.
And we vibrate a little faster, moving up into your sixth dimensional frequencies now, continuing to vibrate, continuing to rise into the seventh dimension, where all the Stargates are coming to a gentle pause, and we invite each one of you to ask inside for a strong seventh dimensional energy field.
So we are calling for a strong seventh dimensional energetic in all the Stargates around the world. And so as you ask, your Stargate starts to radiate seventh dimensional frequencies, gentle, soft energy vibrating you. And these energies vibrate you on a physical level, an energetic level, and even moving the frequencies into your cells and down to the very DNA. And so as you are gently vibrated, your multidimensional DNA gets vibrated. You have DNA that is beyond the physical level. And these gentle vibrations start to activate this higher dimensional DNA. And as you just relax into this field. Slowly, slowly, your energy is gently rising until you are vibrating in harmony with the seventh dimensional energetics. It happens all by itself, nothing to do, just relaxing and allowing for the possibility that change can be so simple, so easy. Very good.
And so we continue now to once again vibrate all the stargates a little faster. And as we do so, the vibration is elevating up into your eighth dimensional frequencies, continuing to accelerate.
Moving into the ninth dimensional energetics, continuing to vibrate faster as we merge into the frequencies of the 10th dimension, and moving faster still up into the 11th dimensional energetics right now. And once more, elevating into the frequencies of the 12th dimension, where again we pause the stargates.
So all of the stargates around the world are now vibrating at this 12th dimensional frequency. And so we ask each one of you to ask inside for a strong 12th dimensional energy field.
So we are calling for a strong 12th dimension in the whole of the stargate grid, every single stargate vibrating at this higher frequency. And again, nothing to do, being relaxed. Slowly, slowly, your energy will effortlessly rise and start to vibrate in harmony with the frequencies of the 12th dimension. It is not something that you can do. It is just the allowing, just the relaxation. It is this easy, it is this simple, nothing to do. And as you start to vibrate at this level, one of the effects is that you become more attuned, more sensitive to the beings, the benevolent beings that are available to assist you and humanity in this awakening process. And as we have already said, we like to start by inviting the presence and support of the angelic realm. So it is important that you ask with us, for the guides respond to you individually. If you choose not to ask, then they honor that. They will not bring their energies to you. So asking from the heart is really beautiful. So each one of us now asking inside for the presence and support of the angelic realm.
So we call for the presence of the angels.
And now just feel, here they come. Just noticing the energy gently changing around you as the angels join you in your etheric stargate. And you can invite them to come closer. Come closer and just feel their loving presence as they come simply because you have asked. They respond to your asking. Very good. Very good. And we almost always like to invite the loving presence of the one whom we call the Blessed Mother. Divine feminine energy, divine motherly energy. She is the one known as Mary or Maria, mother of Yeshua, Jesus. And so again, we ask each one of you to ask with a deep desire to feel her presence, a strong intention to open and receive. So we are calling for the presence of the Blessed Mother, Maria or Mary. And again, just feel, here she comes. A gentle shift in the energy. She comes gently and then her presence gets stronger. The Blessed Mother coming to you, joining the vibration of the angelic realm, divine motherly energy, the motherly energy that we have all yearned for. Yes, allowing her to embrace you in her loving presence. Another master now, divine masculine energy, the one who is known as Saint Germain.
And so again, just asking inside, inviting the presence of Saint Germain.
We call for the presence of Saint Germain, and again, feel. Here he comes, Saint Germain, bringing his energy, a slightly different sensation as Saint Germain brings his presence here. Coming closer. Again, you can always ask them to come closer, to embrace you with their energy. So as Saint Germain comes, you feel his presence. Then after a moment, he merges his energy with those who have come before, creating a field of oneness around you, a field of enlightenment. And this field is vibrating you on all levels and dimensions.
And beloved ones, there are so many ascended masters. These are individuals who have walked your earth and through their own efforts have become enlightened. They are still here, still available to assist you. And as we have often said, those of you who are drawn to the spiritual path, who are hearing these words, you are on the leading edge of awakening. It might not seem to be the case, but it is in fact. And for so many of you, you have worked, lived, studied with these masters in your past. And so we are going to invite you just to ask inside right now, without needing to know a name, for the masters you have been with in your past to come to you.
And so each one of us now, just allowing for that possibility, asking inside for your master or masters from the past to bring their energy to you right now. And feel as many masters bring their energy into this meditation, for we are all connected via the quantum field, and these masters are coming to many of us right now, bringing their energy, feeling them coming, noticing as they merge with those who have come before, strengthening the energy field around each one of us. Very good. And now a taste of the star families. In this short meditation, we would like to invite you just to 2 or 3 of the star families. The Pleiadians first, who have a great connection to humanity. And so each one of you now asking inside for the presence and support of the Pleiadians.
And so we call for the presence of the Pleiadians.
And feel, here they come, noticing a gentle shift in the energy, inviting them closer. The Pleiadians coming to you in their light bodies. Feel, relax and feel. They come in such a love, such a caring, such a compassion, for they know what we have lived through. They bring their energy and merge with the masters and the angels.
The ones known as the Octurans, now wishing to join you. And so each one of us asking inside.
We call for the presence of the Octurans.
And again, just feel as the energy again gently changes. The Octurans bringing their blueprint of their enlightenment as they bring their frequency.
Feel. the Arcturans, gently bringing their vibration of enlightenment to join this gathering energetic field around you.
And there are many beings associated with your Sirius star system. They are all wishing to join you now. And so we ask you just to invite them here.
We call for the presence of the Syrians and feel, here they come, the Syrians, bringing their presence into this global meditation. Very good. Very good. And for the first time ever on this beautiful show, we are going to call forth the humans from another planetary system at the far end of the Milky Way spiral arm, the opposite arm to the spiral arm that humanity is on. And let us now together allow for the possibility that these enlightened ones from another planet can bring their energy here into this meditation. So it's important for each one of you to ask from your heart and the desire of your mind, asking now for these humans to bring their energy of support into this meditation right now. And they are already gently coming into this beautiful open space that you are creating. Feel this human vibration from a far, far distant planet. They are enlightened and they come to support humanity here, to elevate your consciousness, to assist us all in a more rapid awakening. And perhaps you can feel their loving presence. If you wish, you can just ask inside for them to support you individually as you move forward in your life experience, in your more rapid awakening process. Give them permission to work with you.
And another realm of awakened beings who exist here on your earth in another dimension. They are the ones known as the Telosians from the inner earth, the city of Telos beneath your Mount Shasta, where these two are very close to the mountain. They are wishing to bring their energy to you, no matter where you are, for they come through the quantum field. And so just asking inside.
We call for the presence and support of the Telosians from the city of Telos beneath Mount Shasta. And feel again, can you feel their energy joining the multitude who are already holding the field for each one of us? Yes. Very good. And so simply, deeply relaxing into the energy field around you. And this field gently vibrating you with a multitude of enlightened frequencies.
And because many of you hearing these words have a strong connection to ancient Atlantis, the masters from the golden age of that era are wishing to bring their energy because their vibration, their resonance is able to respond to you in the moment, even though they are in your distant past. And so we invite you with an openness just to ask inside.
We are calling for the masters from Atlantis. And feel a different frequency, a different vibration, one of human vibration coming to you from Atlantis.
And can you be open to the possibility that you are coming to you from your ancient past.
And so, beloved ones, take a moment now and just tune in and feel your own vibration. Just feel your energy field. And just take a moment and acknowledge, yes, I can feel that. My vibration has got stronger, has elevated. Very good. And now feeling the physical body, just feeling your body, appreciating this vehicle that holds your consciousness. And then bringing your awareness to the room around you, feeling your place in the room. And when you are ready, gently allowing the eyes to come open and come fully back into the body, into the now.
Whoa. I forgot I was in this room.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, are we recording? Like, wow, that was deep. That was very deep.
Yeah, and it's like, this is just the smallest taste of the Stargate work. This is when we do a gathering, this is just the first meditation. And imagine doing this for 4 or 5 days and going deeper and deeper.
Having the Galactic Command come in and do their transmissions.
Yeah.
Do you guys usually put music over your meditations?
We do, yes. We're very blessed to have a friend, Robert Coxon.
Yeah.
And he comes to our workshops every now and again and plays music live, which we record. He says that when he's with the Stargate, the energy and the music that comes through him is very different. So yes, we put that recording music behind the meditations most of the time.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'll just invite everyone that is tuning in into, as Alcazar called it, the global meditation. However many of us souls are right now connected, to tell us a little bit about their experience with this, how they felt, down below in the comments. And we'll start more of that grid in the comments where people can be seen and heard. And I can't wait to read. And that was definitely very deep for me. So thank you guys for leading us through that.
The beauty of these meditations, because they're in the quantum field, it doesn't matter when you listen to them. You can listen to them 10 years in the future and the vibration will still be there, because in the quantum field, there's no time, no space. It's all in the now.
And you can listen to the same meditation and have totally different experiences. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Because the energies respond to you in the moment. It's not a set of particular frequencies. It's always a response to the individual.
Yeah, so deep breath, stretch, drink of water.
A lot of water.
Yeah.
A lot of water.
Yeah.
And to further integrate, we end every show with a segment called the Final Trio, which are just some questions that we like to ask at the very end. But before that, where would you send people to connect with you, with the Stargate Experience, and all the beautiful work that is coming through right now?
So our website is thestargateexperience.com. We also have a YouTube channel, and we love to share this work. So we're always doing like free experiential live streams and posting meditations, and you can join us for live streams of our longer workshops as well. So yeah, head over to our website. You can follow us there, and we have some events we're excited about coming up this year.
Yeah, we're doing a global gathering in Brazil, a beautiful island called Florianopolis. And that island is very much connected to the Azores. Do you want to...
Well, the Azorians, where we just were, we found out that they actually were the ones who settled in Florianopolis. And what we were also finding out is there's this Knights Templar connection with Portugal and Scotland, but essentially it was the treasures of the Knights Templar that powered Portugal up to become a seafaring nation. So there's some kind of like ancient seeds from the past and galactic seeds from the now or the future, depending on how you look at it, that we'll be connecting up with there.
Yeah, we're doing something in Costa Rica in a couple of weeks, but that's absolutely totally booked up. But we are doing
we're
it
live
online.
streaming that one.
Yeah. And
North Carolina.
we're doing something with Zazar,
Yeah.
which is a really great experience. And Alcazar and Zazar come together.
And then we'll be with Lee Carroll and Cryon and Monica in Maui for New Year. So
Beautiful.
Plus lots of online things as well. Yeah.
Stargate's like a big evolutionary pathway, so you can hop on board if you feel called and join us for any of these things.
There's one other thing that I'd just like to mention. It's like Alcazar's been stressing for years the importance of the inner child.
Yeah.
And we've done 3 or 4 different inner child workshops. And last year he said it's so important that we should offer all these inner child workshops for free. So you can go to our website and you can download these workshops. They were, 4-day workshops, I think.
And Alcazar actually says there's a human inner child and there's the superconscious inner child. And both coexist, because when we're kids, we're still so open and connected to source. And then there's a part of us that doesn't have that reflected to us properly. So we like go into like our like human hurts and shutdowns. And so the way Alcazar works with the inner child, it's like the meeting of the two. So it's actually like your adults helping your inner child for sure with the logic, but there's also a reclamation of the superconscious inner child. And the inner child can actually help you as an adult.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother episode too. So we'll just call this one volume 1, and definitely have to keep weaving together because this has been such an amazing conversation. I'm actually just going to ask both of you one single question to help in the integration of this conversation. And that is, if you could offer just one next step to anyone listening who is ready to accelerate and integrate their soul's evolution, what would it be?
Get high. I'm just kidding. But no, like not with substances necessarily, although totally valid. But yeah, the reason I got so into this work is I'm in love with awakened states. And for me, that is the greatest adventure, is rediscovering who we truly are and embodying that. And there are portals opening every day. The energy is shifting every day. And despite the chaos in the external world, we can actually go higher than we've ever been.
And I would say to people, be consciously aware of your conversations, drop judgment, stay in compassion, really practice compassion, practice catching your judgment and changing it, bring it into something positive. Choose again, choose a higher reality.
Beautiful words from you both. And Prageet, Jules, thank you so much for the wisdom that you both radiate. You bounce so well off of each other, and you can tell that you've contracted this and have been through this many times. So it's beautiful also to witness your soul connection and be able to interact with that in this way. So
thank you.
Truly beautiful, truly grateful in gratitude to both of you. And I hope to do this again very, very soon. Thank you so much.
We would love to. And thanks so much for everything you're doing. The deep research you bring is like it lets you go so deep in your conversations. And I like truly appreciate everything that you're bringing to the world.
Thank you
I
so much.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Till next time.